live. What's up, guys? George Glinsky here from Toe the Line, bringing you another opinionated video today. The last one went down so well, a lot of positive feedback and comments. I thought, why not do it again? I really genuinely enjoy doing these videos. It's a great deal of fun. So yeah, usually, as I say, we do this stuff on the website, but things have changed. The YouTube platform is something I really want to grow, and yeah, we're switching things over. Obviously, the blog, we will be getting some articles out soon, nothing to worry about there, but if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, then you'll be seeing most of the content here now. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Today, the BKB fighters to watch in 2021. A lot of interesting names going to be on this list. Mostly guys who haven't really achieved what they should have in BKB thus far. A lot of new signings and a lot of established names. Guys who have been in BKB for a few fights, but haven't quite got that world title, that British title, that prize fighter. Haven't quite got the achievements that I think personally they can achieve. So yeah, it's going to be a real mixture of names here. 12 fighters in total. Obviously the likes of Sweeney and George and Ricardo Franco, who have gone on and not necessarily peaked, but they've got to a level where, you know, they've achieved a great deal in the sport. They won't be on this list. It'll be mostly for, as I say, debutants who are coming into the sport and fighters who have a lot more to show. So yeah, thank you so much for watching these videos. Thank you so much for your support. It means the absolute world to me and Paolo. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and hopefully, with Paolo in mind, we should see him back on the channel soon, hoping to do something together. All the best. Here we go. Starting off our list is Fabio Maldonado. This list isn't in any particular order, I must say that, but Fabio is up first. Probably the most high-profile name that's come into the BKB ranks. You might say Brad Pickett, to be fair. It's a toss-up between the two. He's a massive, massive name in the world of boxing and MMA. If we just look at that for a start, pro boxing and pro MMA career for the highest of the highest level. 26 4-1 as a professional boxer with 25 knockouts. Alludes to the sort of power he has. Boxed Oscar Rivas, Michael Hunter, Carlos Takam. Pretty damn good, you know. He was only finished once as well, funnily enough, by Michael Hunter. So he actually went the distance with Takam and Rivas, who do hit hard, as does pretty much everyone at heavyweight. So again, hits hard, durable, two key assets in bare knuckle boxing. These are good early signs. In mixed martial arts, it was a similar story. He actually won a Fight Night Global Light Heavyweight Championship belt, which is brilliant, you know, down in Russia. Big European title there. He was obviously probably most well known for his professional mixed martial arts career because he was a UFC veteran, fought some really big names, Glover Teixeira, Stipe Miocic, Rampage Jackson, Corey Anderson, and then outside of the UFC fought the great Fedor Emelianenko. So he's got a great depth of talent that he's faced, and hopefully that experience will translate into the bare knuckle game. As an amateur boxer, I found this record on Wikipedia. Don't know how legit this is. Amateur records are hard to track, but it says 40-5. And what is definite is that he was a 3-time Brazilian amateur champion at 91 kilograms. So 98, 99, and 2000 is when he won those. Yeah, a good career. Very accomplished. Has fought the best of the best. And what's most interesting and why I think he's going to do so well is, one, obviously, he's a very, very high level boxer. And as we know, in BKB, particularly with it being so similar to boxing in terms of its rule set in comparison to other forms, it's really beneficial for the boxers. Apart from really Ricardo Franco, Sean George, in fairness, most of the guys that have succeeded in bare knuckle have boxing backgrounds. So yeah, you've got to benefit that, and the higher your professional boxing background, the more likely you're going to win. Not necessarily. Obviously, we've seen that the sport is pretty unpredictable in that sense, but usually if you have a high level boxing pedigree, you should do well. On top of that, he's had mixed martial arts experience. As we know, 4-ounce gloves, very small. Similar to the bare knuckle, a very small target. He's used to dodging them. He's used to finding that range. I think the two will translate really well together. I'm not entirely sure, and I know for a certain that we haven't seen anyone come from this level of professional boxing and this level of professional mixed martial arts. So for a guy that's fought at the very highest level of the two, I think his experience should translate well into bare knuckle boxing. Again, it's really hard to tell, but he is such a high level primed athlete that he should do well. He's 40 years old, 6'1", 75-inch reach, not the biggest heavyweight, weighs in around 227 pounds. 6'1" isn't particularly tall, and a 75-inch reach isn't particularly long, but he is an in-fighter. He carries tremendous power, and he finds a way to get in. And trust me, it's hard to stop him. So that is why Fabio Maldonado is the first guy on our list. Next up, a man we just mentioned moments ago, Brad One Punch Pickett. A guy who again has a huge name, a big name in mixed martial arts, UFC veteran. He's fought in BKB before. His sole fight against Mark Handley back in March 2019, BKB 16, defeating Mark Handley by first round knockout to win the British flyweight title. Since then, we haven't seen him in action. The title has been vacated and we are awaiting his return. We have heard recently that he signed a brand new, I think it was a 3-year contract, and yeah, he's back. So he's got to be on the list. He's got to be watching 2021. Hopefully we get to see him in action in 2021, and hopefully we get to see him in a big high profile matchup. Before we look into the potential matchups, we just look at his mixed martial arts career. 25-14, 7 knockouts, and a 5-time UFC bonus winner. Obviously a UFC and WEC veteran. Fought some huge names. Uriah Faber, Renan Barão, Marlon Vera, and of course the biggest win, in my opinion, of any British mixed martial artist, the win over Demetrius Johnson. Now, a lot of people might say Michael Bisping over Rockhold, but for me, Demetrius Johnson is a top 5 all-time great. Obviously holds the record for the most amount of UFC title defences, and although this was WEC days, that is a monumental victory, and he deserves all the credit in the world for that. Obviously came through the British scene, won the Cage Rage and UC MMA featherweight title, and then found himself around all forms, all weight divisions. He fought from flyweight up to lightweight. I think he probably found his best days at bantamweight. But yeah, he had a great career and a man who will go down as an absolute legend in British mixed martial arts culture. Looking at his BKB chances, obviously we already know he's particularly good. He made short work of Mark Handley. But there's 2 divisions now, the minimum weight and the flyweight. So obviously he was a former flyweight champion, which is 69 kilograms. He's the British title holder there. That's now vacated because he's been out of the game for so long. The world title is being contested between Sean George and Dan Chapman. And obviously the Chapman fight is of particular interest. They've both spoken about this in the past. The world title at 66 kilograms is also vacant. Could this mean that the British title winner between Hick and Morgan, Rocky Morgan and John Hick, who obviously fight for that 66 British title, could they be pushed up and fight for a world title? Will he fight for another British title? I assume he's going to fight for a world title. I want to see him fight the winner of George and Chapman, but I'd be equally happy if he wants to jump down to 66, fight the winner of Hick and Morgan, and then maybe he wants to win both world titles and retire. Who knows? You know, he is obviously nearing the end of his career. He's 42 years old, so that's something in itself that he still wants to fight. Focusing a lot on his coaching with Nathaniel Woods. I'm not sure how much his head is in the game at the moment, but he has that world-class ability, and he is an excellent bare knuckle boxer, as we have already seen. Although it was only 30 seconds, we obviously know he's particularly good, and we've seen his boxing in the mixed martial arts. In terms of his ability and what to look out for, power. Obviously, you don't get One Punch, the nickname One Punch, for no reason. Particularly good left hook and right uppercut. You'll see those. If you watch any of his highlights, they're outstanding. Just snappy shots. All of his shots are good, but those in particular. And he really does engage that nice twist and twerk in the hips that you don't see too much in mixed martial arts. I'm not sure about how much boxing he's done in the past, but that has always been his strength in mixed martial arts. And he fights like a boxer. Obviously he has a good all-round skill set in mixed martial arts, but he is at heart a boxer. So, yeah. I'm hoping that he goes on to do great things. I'm seeing a world title in the future. He's got to be put on the list, Brad Pickett. Next up, we have British middleweight champion Anthony Holmes. Of course, to save your confusion, the weight classes have changed. He was British light heavyweight champion. Nothing's changed in terms of his weight, or he hasn't been stripped or anything. It's just the weight classes have changed, so he is still the champion at 14 stone. It's just he's now the middleweight champion rather than light heavyweight champion. So Anthony, different to the last two names mentioned, has a unlicensed boxing background and amateur mixed martial arts background. Never really went into the pros until he started bare knuckle boxing. 14 1-1 in unlicensed boxing, 8-0 in amateur MMA, and then when he started boxing at 19 years old, he had 2 amateur bouts with a 1-1 record in the amateurs. But that was in boxing. But yeah, not really the pedigree, if you like, that screams a future BKB world champion. But you couldn't be more wrong if you're looking at it on face value. Anthony Holmes is an outstanding boxer, an outstanding bare knuckle boxer. We saw that when he defeated Mason Shaw at BKB 19, a unanimous decision, sealing his British title on his debut. The first time that a fighter has ever made the BKB pound for pound from one fight, which is pretty crazy. A big win over Mason Shaw, a man who was basically at the time the unofficial number 11 on the pound for pound. It was a massive, massive win. He's done himself a massive service with that victory and just showed everyone how good he really is. A lot of his time, well, a lot of the reason that he isn't where he should be in terms of his career prior to BKB has a lot to do with prison time, hindering his development. But, BKB, for a lot of people, it's a second chance. And I feel like for Anthony, this is a prime example. He's come out of a difficult start to life, if you like, and he's really, really come on leaps and bounds. And you could say that bare knuckle boxing has changed his life just in one fight, which is pretty crazy. But, he's such a strong athlete, such a physical specimen. I mean, he's huge for the weight. The guy is literally an Adonis, a very, very big guy. And he's got a lot of boxing ability as well. Body shots, we saw those against Mason Shaw, absolutely brutal. Great head movement and angles. The way he sort of pivots, those lateral pivotal movements, staying tight to his man and just finding those little gaps. In bare knuckle boxing, you don't have the gloves to cover you. He expertly works his way around this. He changes the angles of his fist from palm down to palm up. Little movements with the hands, little movements with the feet. He's just able to find those angles. And as I say, he's one of the best at working the body, which is a really underutilized weapon in BKB. And to be honest, although he's achieved so much in one fight, he should achieve more. I think he'd be a world champion. The weight class, there aren't too many people there. He is fighting Erik Olsen at BKB 22. We'll see how that goes. I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I think Anthony Holmes is really the best guy out that weight, but he's facing a man in Erik Olsen who knows the game inside out, and he is a tactician. His IQ is not given enough credit. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully Anthony keeps doing what he's doing and succeeds even further, because he is a cracking talent in BKB. Next up, Michi Munoz, a very experienced professional and amateur boxer, over 100 amateur boxing bouts and 28 11-1 as a professional. Coming into his professional career, he had 3 Mexican titles as an amateur, looked extremely promising, took some time out of boxing, came back and just fought everyone he could. If you're looking at his record, you've got 19 knockouts on there, 15 of those by body shot, which is pretty brutal, kind of tells you his style. There isn't too much footage of Michi on the internet, granted, but I was able to scrape some together. Should be able to see some of it right now. There is very limited, but I've tried to put something together. I actually got Michi involved with BKB. This is a George Glinsky signing, believe it or not, which is pretty incredible. I contacted him after finding a bit of footage online. He was looking for a fight, and I said, why don't you try bare knuckle? And he took it with both hands. It seems as though he's a lover of the purest form of fighting. And yeah, this is a great new challenge for him. He's had a pretty decent number of high quality opposition. Of course, former IBF light middleweight champion Carlos Molina, Marshal Selecki, obviously the former WBO middleweight title challenger against Demetrius Andrade, and another 3-time world title challenger, Vanas Materosian, who fought Gennady Golovkin, amongst many other great names. So, looking at his strengths, obviously the bodywork, a key in his fighting style. He mixes his shots up beautifully to the head and body. You'll see that when he fights in bare knuckle boxing. And as I say, the body shot is so underutilized in bare knuckle boxing. And it really is a safer shot. Yes, that you can get countered if you telegraph it, but as long as you're mixing it nicely, that's a great shot because the liver is more presentable with the bare knuckle able to get into those small little gaps. And two, it's not as damaging a shot as throwing it onto someone's face. So there's a benefit on both sides of things, both defensively and offensively. Overwhelming pressure, that's what you've got to expect. This guy brings the aggression every single time he fights. He is chaotic in there. He will cut you off and he will put you in positions you do not want to be in. You'll find yourself in the corner, you'll be looking for ways out, and he'll be stepping from side to side, side to side, body head. It's a great fighter to watch. Very exciting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do in BKB. But fingers crossed, a world title in the picture. Michi Munoz. Next up, Dan Chapman. Named by Jim Freeman as the best technical boxer in BKB, I'd have to agree. Dan Chapman is outstanding. I did spar with him, if you can call it sparring. We did a bit of light sparring. He was just showing me the ropes more than anything. And I have to say, he would not let me hit him. He's outstanding. His head movement, his footwork, his speed of his hand and foot, everything is just so fast and so elusive. He's a very tricky customer for anyone in BKB. And it comes from a fantastic amateur resume. Looking at his resume, probably the best in BKB. You might argue that Jean-Carlos Prada slightly edges him out purely because he was an Olympian. But Dan, looking at his resume and looking at his list of achievements, he was definitely on his way. He was actually touted as a Olympic 2012 hopeful alongside the likes of Luke Campbell. It's a shame that we never saw him reach those lofty heights, but we will discuss that very briefly in a second. So 10 Welsh titles, 1 senior ABA Welsh title, 2-time British champion, 40 international medals, youth Commonwealth champion, 100 fights, 90 plus wins, and a Team GB member for 5 years between 2007 and 2012. Of course, it was a motorcycle accident that shattered Dan's hopes. The femur broken in 6 places, a very difficult injury to return from. And BKB really for Dan has been a redemption, a tour of redemption. He's been given a second chance, as we've seen so many times with the likes of Anthony Holmes, as I'm sure you'll see with the coming names on this list. He has, of course, had 2 bare knuckle fights, one with a knockout, one with a unanimous decision. The first, Martin Thorne, BKB 6, first round TKO on Martin Thorne, a jab to drop and a jab to finish. It was very, very sharp. I think the hand speed here, you can't doubt it. The speed of everything coming at you is just so difficult to deal with, and I think Martin was very much overwhelmed in that fight. The James Connelly fight, an interesting one, gave away a lot of height, a lot of weight. There must have been 5 or 6 inches between the two gentlemen, and as far as I'm aware, Dan gave away some weight there as well. That was, of course, at lightweight, which isn't his natural weight. It was the prize fighter quarter-final. He defeated James by unanimous decision, dropping him twice in the second round, and the third round. However, James would cause some unrepairable damage to Chapman's eye, meaning that Chapman was unable to progress to the semi-final, which, of course, James Kennedy went on to do, beating Smudger Smith, and then having the greatest fight of all time against Ricardo Franco in a really great back-and-forth affair. Now, for Dan, there's plenty of fights out there. Obviously, his next fight will be the 69kg flyweight world title fight against the legendary Sean George. But he won't realise his potential until then. And even then, I feel like there'll be more to give. I see, personally, Dan being a multi-weight world champion. The 69kg, the 66kg, and I would hope the 73. I mean, he did pretty well fighting at lightweight before, and that was around 76 at the time. So we should hopefully be seeing him a 3-weight world champion. Maybe even 4 if he fancies it, but I'm not sure how much longer he wants to stick around. But he is, of course, only 29 years old, so he is very young in the game, and that is particularly young for a BKB fighter. Yeah, just everything you'd ever wanted from a technical boxer. I don't like to blow someone's trumpet too much, but in my opinion, if I had to watch one fighter over and over again, it'd be Dan Chapman. just purely from my perspective, his style, his ability to move in and out of range effortlessly, his head movement, just is expert in fighting. It's something which I've watched many times while learning my craft and thought, yep, I'm never going to be able to do that, but at least I can appreciate it. So for Dan, yeah, well deserving of this list, and for me, the top name on this list in terms of fighters to watch in 2021. An established face in BKB, perhaps the most established on this list, just hasn't really achieved what he should have so far, hence why he's on this list. BKB fighter James Lilley, 4-0-1, so that's 5 fights, that's a lot of fights, but yet to really take the next step onto a title fight. He has got a fight in the pipeline against Scott McHugh for the British bantamweight title. 73 kilograms. We'll see how that goes. But obviously, as I say, James is awaiting that big shot. In the 5 fights he's had, he's defeated Marcus Stevenson, Morgan Starkey, Johnny Lawson, Adam Grogan, and a very, very difficult affair with John Wayne Hibbert, which ended in a draw, but should have been a victory, in my opinion, to James Lilley. Even John Wayne Hibbert himself very courteously saying on Facebook that James deserved the nod. Yeah, James is a cracking boxer, obviously an ex-professional, 8-6, fought our very own Barry Jones for the Welsh area super welterweight title, 5-6 as a professional mixed martial artist as well, but really excels at his best in bare knuckle boxing. Technical boxing, a beautiful jab. The guy can find range with the jab. He can find openings with the jab. Everything comes off the jab, that traditional amateur style. He's obviously had a long and very strong amateur pedigree. And you can see it when he fights. Very tight, very compact, beautiful fundamentals, a wonderful shape. Just exactly what you want to look at when you're learning the craft of boxing. And it works really well for bare knuckle boxing because he conserves himself. He doesn't take those unnecessary risks. And he wins fights as a result. A very, very nice technical boxer. James Lilley, one to watch. For me, a future world champion. I really do believe that this guy is being slept on massively. And let's see where it goes. From Swansea, Wales, James Lilley. Next up, Toby Bindon. Successful as a kickboxer and a Muay Thai fighter. The WBC English Muay Thai champion, British Shanda champion, European kickboxing champion, a long, illustrious amateur kickboxing resume as a junior. He's not just a BKB fighter though, he's also a WLC fighter, the World Lethwei Championship, which of course is essentially Muay Thai with headbutts and bare knuckle. That's the simplest way I can describe it. Of course, Robin Black, our BKB commentator, is also involved in WLC, so he'll be able to be calling hopefully a lot of Toby Bindon's fights. Yeah, Toby is an exceptional athlete, a pure athlete, very, very powerful. Not just your run-of-the-mill kickboxer, has very educated hands. Of course, he doesn't have the boxing resume that a lot of the guys on this list do. He has had a couple of unlicensed boxing bouts, but nevertheless, he knows exactly what he's doing with them. And if I had to say a strength in his kickboxing, I'd have to say it was his hands. Obviously, he has a number of a big array of fantastic kicks, very, very nice hook kicks and spinning heel kicks and all sorts of bells and whistles, but his hands are very educated. You know, for a kickboxer, he doesn't carry his hands the traditional low, languid style. They're up at the chin, they're at the cheeks, they're coming back and forth beautifully. He's not leaving himself open. He's doing everything you want to do as a boxer. So he's kind of already, in that sense, a boxer, if you like. He can box, is the point. Explosive hip and leg mechanics. Just a pure athlete. Very young, in his mid-20s still, and has a lot of potential. I really do see him rising up the ranks and hopefully smashing it around that 66-69 kilogram division. A British title, who knows, maybe even a world. We'll see what happens. We have to see how he adjusts, of course. In terms of his background, he could be seen as a risky pick here. Obviously, he hasn't got that boxing background. Traditionally, we see boxers do the best. But as we've seen in Ricardo Franco, it doesn't always matter. And Toby Bindon has the boxing ability to make it count. 1-0 as a professional bare-knuckle boxer, Craig Rocky Morgan, another Welshman in the lower weight divisions, of course, fighting for the BKB, a British minimum weight title against John Hick. hopefully in the near future. We'll see how coronavirus takes it. But Craig is a very classy boxer, very aggressive, very strong, a really, really interesting fighter. Quite short for the weight, short, stocky fighter. No offence, of course, Craig. A strong base, solid legs, makes himself a very small target, very compact, and I'm not really sure how else to describe his style other than he catapults into the pocket. He's a very powerful one-punch knockout artist. And as I say, the balance in them legs, unreal. You're not going to knock this guy over with a gust of wind. It's going to take a big hammer. And he withstood that against Scott McHugh, another huge puncher. So he's shown himself to have a great chin. Craig 1-0, of course. That sole victory coming against Scott McHugh. Unanimous decision, but of course he dropped the iron-jawed Scott McHugh. Couldn't finish him because no one has. I'm not even sure he's been finished in any discipline. Definitely not bare-knuckle boxing. But yeah, Craig, coming from a Welsh international amateur background, took a short period of time in the professional boxing ranks, 2-1. Didn't have the career I think he thought he could have had. Went through some dark times, 11 years out of boxing, came back, had a couple of unlicensed bouts, smashed it there, and then went on through the regional circuit of bare knuckle boxing with TGAO. The gloves are off, defeating 2 game fighters, including Jay Reedy, a man who I know personally well, very nice guy. Hi Jay, if you're watching this. Yeah, 2 brutal knockouts and catapulted himself into the BKB ranks. Obviously, the John Hick fight will be a massive, massive test for Craig. 3-0 John Hick, 3 very big wins, particularly recently against a fellow Welshman, Azzy Thomas, a Welsh national amateur champion. He looks cracking. He's fought guys with the resume of Craig Rocky Morgan. He's fought ex-pros, he's fought Welsh internationals, but he hasn't fought a puncher like Craig Morgan, and certainly not someone who makes themselves so tight and compact and hard to hit. I see this fight being, I don't want to say it's going to be messy, but I see a few exchanges going a bit haywire. There'll be some brawling, there'll be some technical boxing. Ultimately, this one comes down to whoever wants it the most. Craig Rocky Morgan. Moving on to Craig Rocky Morgan's opponent in that British minimum weight title fight, John Hick. 3-0, BKB fighter. Short notice replacements in every single one of his fights. In fact, the Craig Rocky Morgan fight will be the first fight he's ever done that isn't on short notice in BKB. 1 day's notice, Martin Thorne. 2 days' notice, Jamie Oldfield. 11 days' notice, Azzy Thomas. Didn't stop the outcome. Fastest knockout in BKB history against Martin Thorne, and 2 unanimous decision victories over Jamie Oldfield and Azzy Thomas. 2 guys who had better boxing resumes. He is the ultimate underdog. He's never come in as the favourite, and perhaps he never will. Really a guy who deserves a lot more respect on his name. The most slept upon fighter in BKB at the moment. He has classy boxing skills. Yes, he doesn't have the resume of some of the lads on this list. 30 amateur fights, a 50-50 record in the amateurs, 20 unlicensed fights. Never went pro, never really a big ticket seller, not really one for social media, just enjoys a scrap. But ultimately, such a classy boxer. So calm in the chaos. You know, when you look at this guy, you wouldn't think there's a bad bone in his body. And even when he fights, it's just methodical. It's just calm and precise, and he just looks comfortable. No stress in the shoulders. Everything's loose. Shots are flowing beautifully. A nice, classy boxer, and at that low weight of 66 kilograms, could make himself a big name in that division. You know, the uppercut has been shown time and time again to be a brutal shot. We saw that in the fight against Azzy Thomas, a nasty uppercut dropping him. He's really a fantastic product of the fitness factory in Birmingham. Simon Haycock doing massive things over there. Of course, Connor Tierney, Chris Tresize, Daniel Podmore. So many big names from BKB coming out of Birmingham, and particularly out of the fitness factory in Birmingham. A good gas tank, A good array of skills, fundamentally sound. Another one, similar to some of the names we've mentioned in the past, similar to the likes of Lilley, except he doesn't have that sort of amateur/professional background, yet he boxes so incredibly well. This one a bit weird coming in, with lockdown and so on. He's probably gone from doing a couple of days. I don't even know if he trains, if he's a day before, 2 days before. I assume he's just ticking over from not really ever having a camp to having probably 3 camps by the looks of things in terms of lockdown procedures and how much that's affected the shows and pushing them back. Pretty ironic. But yeah, a man who really deserves some respect on his name. Another great product from the Fitness Factory in Birmingham. And yeah, one to watch. Does he beat Craig Rocky Morgan? I think it's a 50-50 fight. I've gone back and forth on it many times. I thought Craig was going to win it first, then I thought John. And now I just don't know. Next up, Liam Cameron, 20-5 as a professional boxer, a former Commonwealth middleweight champion. Fantastic asset for BKB, a recent signing. Can't wait for this guy to step between the ropes. Just an excellent boxer. Accurate as it comes. Shouldn't be missing too many shots. And, that is extremely important in bare knuckle boxing. Obviously, anything above them eyebrows, you are going to break your hands. And this guy finds the chin and he pops it hard. A great pop to his shots. A efficient punch-picking style. Yeah, perfect style for bare knuckle boxing. Doesn't waste shots. Very efficient. So hopefully we shouldn't see too many cuts and injuries from Liam. God forbid. But yeah, Liam, really hard done by boxer, banned by the UK anti-doping agency in 2018 for what is described as a 10th of a line of recreational cocaine. So real trace amounts of cocaine. Given the maximal 4-year ban by the UK anti-doping agency. I can't seem to say that right for some strange reason. But given the maximal ban, a lot of people in the boxing world have said that this is obviously a terrible ban. It's pretty harsh. There's guys that are coming in and taking some serious, hard performance-enhancing drugs. It's not like cocaine is a performance enhancer, but, you've got people coming in and taking hard performance enhancers and only getting 2 years. So, I don't want to go into it too much because I'm not interested in getting involved in politics, particularly in professional boxing. But yeah, hard done by, and another guy looking for redemption in bare knuckle boxing. Fought some good names in the pro ranks. Sam Sheedy, Zach Dunn, Luke Blackledge, Nicky Genman, Tobias Webb. The list goes on. Some really good British and Commonwealth standard boxers there. Who knows what he could have achieved, Who knows? Obviously, he's only 30 now. It's 2 years ago. He was given the anti-doping agency, boom, I said it right, ban. So who knows what he could have gone on and achieved. Gutting stuff. But he's now in bare knuckle boxing. He's looking a little heavier these days, so I'm not sure exactly where he'll be fighting. But you would think he would probably go down to around about the 76 mark, round about where he fought in the pro ranks. Obviously, same day weighings do affect things. Maybe 80 kilograms, who knows? But at the moment, I have no clue what his weight is. He must be 90 odd kilograms. If he's watching this, he might be able to confirm. But yeah, hopefully we'll see him around 76, 80 kilograms. A lot of good fights to be seen there, specifically at 76. Sweeney, Franco. So many great names there. And even at 80 kilograms, Tresize, Paul Hills. Yeah, he's got plenty of good fights. And he is really a class apart when it comes to the professional boxing resume amongst those names. But this is bare knuckle boxing. We'll see how he adjusts. Early indicators suggest he will adjust well. We'll see how it goes. A really exciting signing, a really exciting asset to BKB. Liam Cameron. Next up, James Connelly. 3-3 as a bare knuckle boxer. 6 bouts, 17 rounds. One of the most experienced boxers in the game. Yet hasn't quite achieved what he would have liked in bare knuckle boxing. 5 of his 6 opponents, world level opposition, absolutely no doubt. In my opinion, the greatest resume per capita. Jimmy Sweeney, obviously a very good resume, but had some early fights which weren't on the level of James Connelly. So obviously 5 out of 6 of his opponents, really world level opposition. That's an 83.3% world level opposition. which is pretty incredible. The only one really who doesn't meet that expectation, Ash Griffiths, Dan Chapman, Smudger Smith, Ricardo Franco, Sean George, Connor Tierney. Is there really a better resume than that? I mean, that is an incredible resume. Every single one of those fighters, apart from Dan Chapman, has been in the pound for pound. Franco, George, and Tierney all in the pound for pound. Connelly right now in the pound for pound. Just incredible, incredible fights. And he's just looked really, really good in every single one of them. Dan Chapman, greatest pure boxer in my opinion in bare knuckle boxing, maybe even in the history of BKB. James was winning that fight up until the end of the second round when he was dropped, and it was ultimately the 10-8s which won Chapman the fight. Massive respect to Chapman, obviously overcoming a big size disadvantage, but props to James for really competing extremely well with such a great boxer. Dean Smudger Smith, great win there. Ricardo Franco, the greatest fight in BKB history. A fight which was scored 6-1 on the cards, but 4-3 in my opinion. Connelly, a lot more competitive than the cards suggested. Great back and forth there. Then obviously the win over Sean George, dropping the iron chin of Sean George twice. A big win there. And then the loss against Connor Tierney via knockout. Coming in on a difficult handicap against the Sean George fight. A lot of damage taken. A lot of damage given. It was a 30-minute cool-down period before the second fight. And the first ever one-night prize fighter. Difficult times. Obviously James doesn't make that excuse. I'm kind of just putting it out there because I see it a lot in the bare knuckle boxing forums, and nothing to be taken away from Tierney in that sense. But yeah, worth a mention. Obviously a difficult pill to swallow, a difficult handicap to overcome. But yeah, an incredible resume, absolutely no doubt. As I say, hasn't won a prize fight yet, hasn't won a British title, hasn't won a world title. That's why he's on this list. He should win them in the future. I believe he'll win them in the future. That's why he makes this list. He's ultimately not achieved what he wanted. But as an amateur boxing, 53-11, two-time ABA finalist, two-time Midland champion, first fight at 11 years old, started boxing at 10 years old. A really good amateur boxing resume, a great background, strong fundamentals, but an unorthodox fighter. Really uses the eyes as a deception tool, deceives his opponents, looking one way, firing the other, forcing his opponents to overcommit, overextend. Excellent head and upper body movement, and controls the pace of fights really nicely. Ducks under shots, uses the clinch to stall his opponents, breaks off the clinch with a couple of nice little uppercuts. He's a good fighter. He controls everything in that ring. Distance, pace, timing. Composed, calm, collected. James Connelly. Watch his fights. There's not a single boring one. Well worthy of this list. Smudger Smith, 4-2 as a professional bare knuckle boxer. Wins over Johnny Lawson, Evren Kuzentang, Jeff Chiffens and Tony Lafferty, with narrow losses against Chris Dressage and James Connelly. That James Connelly fight really could have gone either way. Chris Dressage's fight was competitive. Bit of a soft stoppage in the fifth round if you like. But Chris is probably going to go on and win that one on the points in theory. But yeah, he's had some interesting opponents. Obviously, Evren Kuzentang and Jeff Chiffens, the wild cards of prize fighters, both in the quarterfinals, both in the two long-running lightweight prize fighters that he's been in. Yeah. Difficult fights. Obviously, Jeff Chiffens, the wild man, the wild swinging style, a second-round knockout, clean as you like, clean as a whistle from Smudger in that fight. And then the Kuzentang fight, a cagey affair, not a great fight, not the best fight, not one I'd really suggest people to go and watch. I think even Smudger would agree with me there. But he got the win against a fighter that wasn't really willing to engage, so he did what he had to do. Yeah, some great fights. His most recent fight, obviously, against Tony Lafferty. A very, very nice shutout 5-round performance there. And on to the final against Hugh McGovern. He's the favourite there. In theory, he should win it. That will be happening in 2021. One of the reasons he is on this list. That should be a big win. We hope it is a big win for him. He comes into this BKB world with such a great amateur resume. 45-2 as an amateur. 20 fights in the white-collar game with 17 wins and 3 losses. Classy operator, a lot of boxing experience, and now a lot of bare knuckle boxing experience. Fights Sean George, BKB lockdown card, 27th of November, for the British bantamweight 73kg title. So yeah, he should be hopefully coming into 2021 with a British title and then winning the prize fighter in the new year. So it looks like a great year for Smudger. It really does. In terms of strengths, I've sparred him, so I can tell you this now. Slick, slippery. You can't hit him if he doesn't want you to. Really nice parry shots. Just parries and throws something off it, particularly with the lead hand. Flicks down the shot, comes back with a little pop off the lead hand. Classy boxer. Exactly what you'd expect from someone with his experience in the boxing ranks. Yeah, nothing more to say about Smudger. Just really needs to achieve what he should achieve. Just like absolutely everyone on this list, he really has so much more potential than he is given. And yeah, finishing on Smudger, the final man on the list. I think a lot of people will agree with me putting him in this list. What do you guys think? Who have I missed? Who needs to be added to this list? Let me know. Because I'm never right. I can't be right. You cannot be right. Everyone has different opinions. That's what's the beauty of sports and opinions and democracy, you know? So let me know what you think. Let me know how I can improve. Maybe there's something I can do to these videos or whatever. Just let me know. I love criticism. I love praise. I love everything. I love feedback. That is crucial. Just let me know. There is no stupid answers. So yeah. But thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry for waffling again. I love this sport. I love making these videos. And I hope that you've made it to the end. If you have, smash the like button, click on the subscribe button, and bang that bell. This has been George Glinsky. This has been Toe the Line. Thank you so much for your time. All the best. God bless.
Where are you?